Hello students, and welcome to the e-learning program initiated by Shri Gyanmanjari for the students of Standard 9, in which we are learning the subject of English. Students, this is part 3 of chapter number 5. Name of the chapter is The Snake and the Mirror. This chapter is taken from the book Beehive, that is the main book of the English learning in Standard 9. We have two books, Beehive and Moments, where Beehive is the main book and Moments is the supplementary reader. There's literally nowadays, earlier it was, but nowadays there is no difference, hardly any difference between Beehive and the supplementary reader Moments. Only difference is the viewpoint of the stories that are included in Beehive and Moments are different. Beehive, some serious issues, topics have been taken, concepts have been taken, whereas Moments, free-flowing stories have been taken. As far as grammar is concerned, grammar can come from either books. Question answers, the sections are different. Section A, you will get questions from the main book, that is Beehive. From section B, you will have questions regarding poems of Beehive and questions pertaining to the chapters of Moments, that is the supplementary reader. That will happen in section B. Now, as this is the third part of the chapter, we should know what happened earlier in the two lectures from this chapter. The author of this story is Vaikom Muhammad Bashir, is quite a well-known author who usually writes in Malayalam, it is the language of Kerala. He's a very good writer, a very famous one, popular, but basically he writes in the Malayalam language. That was translated by V. Abdullah, and that is how we get this translated version of the story written by Vaikom. This is a story in a story where some narrator is telling a story which was told to him by some homeopathic doctor. Homeopathy is a method of treatment to cure some disease, and a person who has studied this method got a degree. It's called a homeopathic doctor. The title is very interesting. It tells us about two things, the snake and the mirror. Both are quite interesting things. The narrator, that is the homeopathic doctor, has an encounter with a snake and he is miraculously saved by God. So as he thinks God has saved him, he escapes a near death situation when he confronts a snake. But the mirror helps him, and the snake gets attracted towards the mirror by seeing its reflection in the mirror, and the snake goes towards it, and that is how the homeopathic doctor is saved from the danger of getting bitten by the snake, and he is able to escape. This is the whole story. Now the story is told in a very dramatic manner. Summary of a story is going to be very short, very short. But how the story is told, that is more interesting. And basically we have to answer the question, and we can answer the question if we have studied the chapter in depth, in each and every word, each and every line, each and every paragraph. Almost by heart we know what is the essence of each and every line and paragraph. Then only we are able to answer any question that has been taken from any part of the story or the chapter. So here the homeopathic doctor, first description is there that he is a fresher from the college. He has just got a degree and he has started up his practice. Of course, people do not know him, so he doesn't get that many patients, and his earning is quite small, but he has kept a sum for his survival, a sum of rupees 60, which is in his suitcase in his room. He lives all alone. He is unmarried. He has for clothing few shirts, some dhoti, and only one black coat, which is very essential when you pass out the degree. You should be wearing a coat. So that coat is the only possession which tells him, which tells other people that he is a doctor. As we have discussed in previous lectures, in those days only the lawyers and the doctors, they wore a coat. Otherwise, coat is not part of our dressing. It is imported, foreign, right? Foreign idea is we have bandi. If we feel cold, oh, Nehru ji wali bandi aati hai without any sleeve, or perhaps with a sleeve, but usually that is called bandi. We don't have a coat. It is a two-piece coat, the pant and the coat. So in those days, 1950s, 60s, maybe 40s, that was the time that story is set. So he had that precious coat with him when he wore it, that he wore all the time, so that people know he is a doctor. So he has just returned from the nearby restaurant after having dinner. That means there is nobody to cook. He also doesn't cook himself, and he is living all alone. He is unmarried. His practice is not going on well right now because he isn't that much popular, famous. When he comes home at 10 o'clock in the night, it is summer night and he feels very hot inside, outside, everywhere. Not a leaf is moving. There is no wind, no air, no breeze. So he is very uncomfortable and he removes his clothing. Now he is just wearing his dhoti and he comes and sits in his chair, which is near the table. On the top of the table there is a lamp, and that is a kerosene lamp, and a mirror, comb. He takes out a medical book from his box and keeps it on the table, but is not interested in reading it. His house is described very well. The cubicle sort of small room is there, which has a slanting roof, and there is no false ceiling, so you can see the roof directly, the beams of the roofs straight away. And regularly the rats, they cross the beam to go to the other wall, and many times the rats, they lose balance and fall down. So it's quite regular for him. So he hears lots of sounds, but he is not disturbed by that because it's a regular thing for him, a routine. So he sits over there, and while he's sitting in front of the mirror, he thinks of himself that now he is of age. On top of that, he is a doctor and he should get married. For that he has to look very handsome. So what will he do to make himself more handsome? So he took two important decisions that day while sitting in front of that night, sitting in front of the mirror, that he's going to have clean shave every day. That means he's going to shave every day so that he looks smarter, more handsome, and he's going to wear a very thin mustache which makes his face attractive so that people know, yes, he's a grown-up man, he wears a black coat, he must be a doctor. So that people will approach him with their daughter's hand for marriage. So that is the purpose. He wants to make himself look more handsome, more striking. Then, as he has nothing to do, he loses himself in fancy that I'm going to marry, and I'm going to marry a lady doctor. I'll marry someone in my same profession. Both of us will be doctors, both of us will be practicing, we'll earn a lot of money. But the condition over here is that she should be having a very good practice, well settled, so that she has lots of money. So I'm going to marry a rich doctor who already has a good lot of practice, good lot of patients every day visiting her, and she's earning quite a lot of money. On top of that, she should be fat. Fat for the purpose if something goes wrong, if I make a mistake and she's angry and runs behind me with a big stick, she's not able to catch me because she's fat. So he's just wandering here and there in his fancy because he has nothing else to do. All of a sudden, something falls. Now he knows a rat must have fallen. But just to be sure, he turns to have a look, and at the same time, a snake from the back of the chair that snake is on the shoulder of the doctor. Now both of them did the same thing together. He turning his face and the snake coming on to his shoulder and facing him. So now both of them are facing each other. There is hardly a distance of 3 to 4 inches. All of a sudden this has happened, so he is in a state of shock. He is not moving, he is not breathing, he has stopped breathing. And as if he has turned into a statue. He's not moving because one false move, and for that snake it's going to be danger if he sees movement and he's going to strike. So he's not moving. He's completely still, as if from the outside his body is made up of stone and inside it is just flesh and blood moving here and there. Apart from that, his mind has gone totally blank. He doesn't even have one good thought how to come out of this situation. He is wandering here and there in darkness. Everything outside the house is completely dark. He doesn't find any clue what to do next. And slowly, slowly the snake has wriggled around his left arm, and that arm is paining because the snake has made his grip more and more tight. Now the doctor, his mind is racing very fast. What will I do? But he doesn't find any clue. Now he is also thinking something else. Maybe the snake will find that this is some other animal and it will try to bite me. Do I have any medicines with me? No, I don't. I am a poor doctor. I don't keep such medicines. Anti-venom medicines I don't keep with me. How foolish of me. Leave alone myself, leave alone the patients. How am I going to cure myself if something happens to me? I am really foolish and I am totally stupid, doctor. And he smiles on himself inside. He doesn't smile physically, but he smiles inside. Yeah, really, I am a very stupid guy, and what a doctor I am who doesn't keep any medicine at home. I should be keeping, but then I don't keep. I'm a foolish person. Maybe God liked that this man has accepted that he is a foolish and stupid person. So God rewarded him. How did that reward come? That reward came in the shape of the snake turning its face away from the doctor's face, and just as the snake faced away from the doctor's face, it looked into the mirror. Its reflection was seen in the mirror, and the snake must have found something crazy, something unbelievable, that another snake is over there, because animals, they don't know anything about mirrors, they are human made. So the snake got interested in that another snake, and for the sake of curiosity, it tries to go over there. First of all, it loosens its grip from the arms, it falls into the lap of the doctor, then it climbs the table and goes near the mirror to have a better look at itself. Maybe, we don't know, because we don't know snakes that way. We have never seen any snake looking at itself in the mirror. So now, are you worried what sex that snake is, male or female? You are least bothered with that. Are you worried what the snake is looking into? What is it questioning itself? Should I grow a mustache? Is it that the snake is thinking? Should I grow a mustache? Or whether I should wear that bindi, the vermilion mark on the forehead to make myself look more beautiful, or some eyeshadow. The snake is already black. You don't know what's happening, what's going on in the mind of the snake. But what about you? Now you are free. So he slowly gets up from the chair without moving and tiptoes to the door, and from there to the veranda, and from the veranda he jumps into the yard, opens the compound door, the gate, and runs as fast as he can to go as much far away from the snake and his house. So that is where we had reached in the previous lecture. So now let us go ahead with the chapter. So as soon as he says the narrator, that means this is a story within a story. So when the narrator who was telling the story that happened with the homeopath, when he said that the doctor was now free and ran away from the snake, he was saved, then the people sitting over there, seated over there, they also found relief, because now up till now they were also quite tight-fisted. What is going to happen? What is going to happen next? Now all of a sudden they come to know the doctor is saved. So they also reveal a sign of relief. Okay, oh, the doctor is saved. View. Each of us heaved a sign of relief. Heaved gave out breath, which tells that you are relaxed now, you are no more in tension. Somebody asked, Doctor, is your wife very fat? There must be some funny person in the crowd. Among the audience, somebody must be quite witty. Okay, the story is over. Now the doctor is saved. Now the doctor is already sitting in front of them. So that means that episode is over and he was unhurt. Nothing happened to him. So somebody asked, is your wife fat as you thought during that night? No, the doctor said. God willed otherwise. I wished from the bottom of my heart that my wife should be fat, but God was willing something else. He gave me quite a fit lady, a thin one, so that if I do some mistake, she is going to run behind me and she is going to catch me. My life companion is a thin, reedy person with a gift of a sprinter. Reedy, we have already done this word, reed, from where the hollow tubing, from where the flute is made, from which the flute is made, that's called reedy. So my wife looks like a reedy, a hollow tubing, that means quite thin, and is a sprinter, that means she can run at quite a good pace, and even before I reach a distance, she will be able to catch me. And God was willing something else. What can I do about it? Someone else also inquired something. Doctor, when you ran, did the snake follow you? That's an obvious question. Now, because when you get up and you are running away, the snake is going to catch the movement, and will it follow you? Did it follow you? The doctor replied, I never looked back. The moment I got up from my chair, tiptoed to the door, there front to the veranda, and jumped and ran out of the compound gate, I did not look back whether the snake was following me or not. I ran and ran till I reached a friend's house. I ran blindly in the night on the road, and I did not stop till I reached a friend's house. I reached over there, immediately smeared oil all over myself and took a bath. These things are very important nowadays. You sanitize yourself each and every 5, 10, 15 minutes. You sanitize yourself. Here, the snake had fallen on him. It had wrapped itself around the arm. Its face was hardly 3 to 4 inches. So I smeared myself. That means I put oil on me as much as, and then I rubbed myself with soap and water and some rough things so that I can clear away. If even if something has stuck of the snake on me, then also it will go away. Then I took a bath. I changed into fresh clothes. The next morning, that means whole of the night he spent with his friend. He did not have the courage to come back with his friend or 2-3 other people and come and look for the snake if it is still there in the house. He didn't have that courage. बड़ी मुश्किल से तो जान छूटी है. Now I to go again and again get into trouble. So he didn't go inside. He didn't go even out of his friend's house. He didn't go back to his house. He spent the night at his friend's house. Next morning, at about 8:30, when it is clear day, everything is shining brightly. You can see an elephant at least 2 kilometers away. That much clarity is there. At that time, 8:30, I took my friend and 1 or 2 others. Still he did not know, because as we discussed earlier, snakes are part of our superstitions, beliefs, right or wrong, whatever, right? So he is very terrified with that crawling animal, reptile. So he not only took his friend, but he took 1 or 2 others also. So 3-4 लोग मिलके वापस गए to my room to move my things from here. I am not going to live over here where snakes fall on me in the middle of the night. I am not a fool. I am not going to stay over here. So I took 2-3 people so that I can collect my things and shift somewhere else where there is a little bit safety. But we found we had little to carry. He was living all alone. He just had few set of clothes. A coat, a few shirts, dhotis, might be 1 or 2 chappals. He didn't have much to carry, right, to shift. Why? Some thief had removed most of my things. Another thing happened now, because he left the door open and there was light coming out from the door because the lantern was still lit. Windows are open, doors are open, so some thief must have crawled up to the window, looked inside, looked around the house, nobody was there, so must have come inside, and by the time snake must have gone away. Or whether it was there, the thief didn't know about it, but he collected all the belongings and stole away most of the belongings of the doctor. The room had been cleaned out. That means साबुन तेल कंघी कुछ नहीं छोड़ा, जो कुछ मिला सब ले गए. It was completely cleaned out. He didn't leave any of my belonging. I didn't have anything to collect over there and shift. Now I'll have to shift. Even right now he is wearing his friend's clothes. He will have to shift in his friend's clothes. He didn't have money because money was in the box. The thief had stolen that also. But not really. The thief had left behind something. What was that? The thief had left behind one thing as a final insult. He didn't take one thing with him. He left that thing over there. And that act of the thief looked as if he was insulting me. Now what was that? What was that, I asked. The doctor said, my vest. My vest, we have already discussed that. His vest, yeah, on the top he wore quite white shirt, white dhoti, completely white, clean, spotless, shining brightly. On top of that black coat, but inside who's looking, right? So he used to wear old vest which had turned yellow, dirty. The thief didn't take that. मैं भी ऐसा नहीं पहनता. That was an insult to the doctor. A doctor हो के ऐसी गंदी vest पहनता, right? My vest, the dirty one. The fellow had such a sense of cleanliness. मैं चोर हूँ लेकिन इतना खराब आइटम तो मैं भी नहीं पहनता. right? So that was an insult. He didn't take that dirty one. Yes, you are a thief, you don't have anything. See, a double pun is used over here. You are a thief. You do that thieving because you don't have money to survive. Then you should not be having such high ideals, right? If it is dirty, you should have taken it. The doctor, both of them, the doctor and the thief, both of them are having a very good sense of humor. The doctor says you have taken everything. You have taken everything which belongs to you. You haven't even spared a pen. You have taken everything. Even my chappals, you have taken it. You left behind a dirty vest, ganji. Just because it was dirty, you are insulting me. Aisa ganda ganji to main bhi nahi pehanta. But think about it. You are poor, and that is why you are a thief. You are stealing because you don't have any other way to earn income. Then you should not be having such high ideals, high principles. What you should be doing is, you should have taken that vest, cleaned it and used it. So we see a very good-hearted doctor over here. The thief has taken all his belonging, but he still thinks good of the thief, that you are a poor person, you should have taken that vest, right? The rascal could have taken it and used it, washing it with soap and water. If it was dirty, that rascal, that means that bad person should have taken it. You should have washed it with soap and water, they say 3 times, and then you could have used it. Did you see the snake the next day, doctor? When you went there with your friends, did you see the snake? The doctor laughed. No, by that time it must have gone away. I have never seen it since. And how do we identify it was the same snake? All snakes look alike. It was a snake which was taken with its own beauty. The last line is the punchline. I have never seen that snake again, but then I have seen a snake which was so possessed by its own beauty that it left me and went to the mirror to look at its own beauty. And that snake was possessed with its own beauty. The snake got magically charmed with its own beauty that it went near the mirror to have a more closer look. I haven't seen a snake like that before. So here we finish the chapter over here. Now we have already completed the understanding of chapter number 5, and that is the snake and the mirror. Now let us do some textual grammar. All of you must be having your material with you. You can open up your material where at the end of the chapter certain grammar portion is given, so that we get acquainted some of the places. That is a revision of what we have already learned in 8th, 9th, or there might be something new that has to be explained. So open your material, chapter number 5, the textual grammar part. Now you'll find it under the heading thinking about the language. Here are some sentences from the text. That means these sentences are taken from the text. That means the chapter. Say which of them tell you that the author. Now there are 4 options: A, B, C and D. That the narrator, 4 options are given. By reading the sentence, we should be able to tell which type of feeling is expressed by the narrator. Was he afraid of the snake? That is the first option. Second option is, was proud of his appearance. Had a sense, that is C is, had a sense of humor. or was no longer afraid of the snake by reading the sentence. Now, why is this exercise given to us? When we read an individual sentence taken separately from the text, by looking at that sentence, you should be able to tell which paragraph it belongs to. When you come to the sentence, you should know what has happened just before that sentence and what is going to happen after that sentence, because that sentence will tell you what happened just before that and why is this sentence used. For example, I was turned to stone. Now, out of this four options, that means, was he afraid of the snake, was he no longer afraid of the snake, or whether he was proud of his appearance or had a sense of humor. Which is that? So we'll do the answers also here, right? So don't be in a hurry, just open your material and come to this page where this exercise is given. By looking at I was turned to stone, what does it indicate out of this four? You can write in your material A, B, C, D with pencil, right? So that if need be, you can rub it out. I was no mere image cut in granite. Now in first sentence he says I was turned to stone. That means he was afraid of the snake. I was no mere image cut in granite. It is when the snake leaves him, falls in his lap and climbs onto the table and goes away from him. That is where he is free. So again he is a human, again with flesh and blood. From stone he turns into a human body, so was no longer afraid of the snake. The arm was beginning to be drained of strength. Which of it applies over here? I tried in my imagination to write in bright letters outside my little heart the words, "Oh God." It's very clear. Afraid of the snake, that is option A. I didn't tremble, I didn't cry out. Was he afraid? Was he not afraid? So let's see. There's still maybe more sentence. I looked into the mirror and smiled. It was an attractive smile. Here I think he is proud of himself. I was suddenly a man of flesh and blood, no longer afraid of the snake. I was after all a bachelor and a doctor too on top of it. Surely he is proud of himself being a doctor and then also a bachelor. The fellow had such a sense of cleanliness. It's a pure joke. It's a humor. The rascal could have taken it and used it after washing and all that. Was it trying to make an important decision about growing a moustache or using eyeshadow or mascara or wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead? This happens when he looked into the snake looked into the mirror. Here it's a pure sense of humor. Now let's see what the answers are. A, B, C, D is given on the top so that it's visible. I was turned into stone. A, that is, was afraid of the snake. I was no mere image cut in granite, that is D. Now he is no longer afraid of the. But so by looking at the sentence, you should know to which para it belongs and what happened before it and what is the meaning that the author wants to relate to you. The arm was beginning to be drained of strength. Of course, he is afraid of the snake, then only he feels the pain. I tried in my imagination to write in bright letters, "Oh God," that is fear, that is again, was afraid of snake. I didn't tremble, I didn't cry out. He was totally shocked. So he didn't do anything. Didn't do anything means he didn't have the courage. That means he was afraid of the snake. I looked into the mirror and smiled. Of course it is B, that is, he is proud of himself. I was suddenly a man of flesh and blood, no longer afraid of the snake. So you can write D over there. I was after all a bachelor and a doctor. That means he is proud of himself. That is B. The fellow had such a sense of cleanliness. It's really a humor that is telling. And was it trying to make an important decision? Again, it is humor that comes in between the fear and is afraid of the snake. Even in that type of situation, he is able to create humor. Now let's come to another small exercise. Expression used to show fear. Can you find the expression in the story that tell you that the author was frightened? You have to complete the blank. From the textbook we have to find it. I was turned into what? Stone, I suppose. I sat there holding what? My breath. In the light of the lamp I sat there like what? Let's see the answers. I was turned to stone. That shows fear. I sat there holding my breath. You are in, all of a sudden you are in a state of shock. You forget to breathe. In the light of lamp I sat there like a stone image in flesh. It looked like I was an image of stone, but inside it was flesh and blood. Third sentence, also quite small. In the sentences given below, some words and expression are made bold. There are various means that one is terrified, is too scared to move, is frightened by something that happens suddenly, or makes another feel frightened. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. This is to enhance your vocabulary. Which are the set of words or a single word or a phrase or a clause that you are going to use in your own words, in your own writing, when you want to say that you are expressing something that's quite frightening. So what are the words that you are going to use? Match the meaning with the word expression. The first one is done for you. I knew a man was following me. I was scared out of my wits. Now, scared out of my wits is the phrase. If you use this, what does it mean? I was very frightened. You mean to say very frightened, but then you use the phrase, I was scared out of my wits. Wits, the sense, wisdom. You lost wisdom at that time. You didn't know what to do because you are very frightened. So students, what we are learning over here is to enhance and improve our vocabulary. The same thing, you are frightened, but what happens if you write like this? I knew a man was following me. I was frightened. It looks very simple. It looks very simple, and it doesn't have the desired effect on whoever is reading the text. So if I write, I was scared out of my wits, it makes a special impact on the reader. So that is what we are doing. We are trying to improve our vocabulary. The chapter and exercise, whichever is given, thinking about the language, it is basically a small one, but it is done for the purpose of improving your vocabulary. I have provided the answers along with. I got a fright when I realized how close I was to the cliff edge. Too scared to move. Cliff. There, it's straight down and quite a lot of down. Yes, maybe 400, 500 or 1000, 2000, 5000 feet down. Right, so it's quite deep. So when you are on the cliff, you are not able to move. When you look down, you are not able to move because you're frightened. So I got a fright. Got a fright, that is too scared to move. He nearly jumped out of his skin. Now you can't jump out of the skin, right? But what it means to say frightened by something. For example, you are sitting silently reading a book, or your younger brother, he fills a plastic bag and blasts that near your ear, you'll jump out. That jumping out is called jumping out of the skin because you got frightened all of a sudden. So he nearly jumped out of his skin when he saw the bull coming towards him. You really gave me a fright. Again, got a fright, gave me a fright, made someone frightened. The difference is here you are scared yourself, here somebody is trying to scare you. So got a fright means made someone frightened. Wait until I tell his story, it will make your hair stand on end. Hair stand on end. It is very, very scary, very frightful, then very frightening. Paralyzed with fear. Boy faced his abductors, kidnappers. Paralyzed with fear, you are so much in fright that your hands and legs as if they are paralyzed, can't move. That is, too scared to move. The boy hid behind the door, not moving a muscle. Not moving a muscle is a phrase. It means too scared to move. Even the muscle inside it also doesn't move. Kya pata awaaz aa jaye. Right, so that is the meaning. Now we have already done this. Reported questions. This is part of the reported speech. We have done quite early in the syllabus. Direct, indirect. This is it. Now what we are taught in this chapter is reported questions. That means indirect, direct questions which we have to turn into indirect. His friend asked, comma, inverted comma, did you see the snake the next day? We talked about that. This is a conditional sentence, right? So he asked, his friend asked, we don't write that. Instead, he asked the doctor, whether or if, did you see, if you saw, or if he saw. So if he had seen, did you see, if he had seen the snake the next day. The little girl wondered, will I be home before the TV show? Did, will, we have learned about it. Morals, asked, this is helping verb, the form of do. So these are conditional sentence, so we can write if or whether. The little girl wondered. We don't write that. Instead of that, if or whether, she will becomes would. If she would be home before the TV show begins becomes began. Now this also we have done. WH word. Someone asked, why has the thief left the vest behind? Someone asked. When we have WH word and a question mark at the end, we do not use that, but we use the same WH word without attaching that. Someone asked why the thief has becomes had. Why the thief had left the vest behind. Rest of the thing remains the same. We only need to change the grammar, that is the verb part. The words if, whether are used to report questions which begin with do or any forms of do. Will, that is future, plus will is also a modal. So will, can, or the helping verbs have, are, etc. These questions can be answered yes or no. Do you want to come? It is yes or no question. Will you come? That is again a yes or no question. So the words if or whether are used for answering a yes or no question. If it is WH, then there is a whole sentence with it. But if it is any of this, do, form, will, can, or any of the reporting verb, then it's a yes no question. So we use if or whether. If it has WH, then we use that same WH question. Questions beginning with why, when, where, how, which, what, WH words are reported using the same words. No change. The reporting verbs we use in question with if, whether, why, when, where, etc. ask, inquire, or wonder, that is interrogative. Direct when we have to turn it into indirect. Example, he said to me, I don't believe you. He said he did not believe me. This is simple sentence. So he said to me, I, but has the negation. Yes, he said he did not believe me. She said to him, I don't believe you. She told him that. Now two people are there, she and him, so told. She told him that she did not believe him. Report these questions using if, whether, why, when, now, that is yet to follow. Question is given, that is in your book. Answer is written over here. Meena asked her friend, two people are there, do you think your teacher will come today? This last part, one or two alphabets may be going out of the screen. Yes, but it is in your book, so not an issue. Meena asked her friend, do you think, if he thought. Do you think, if or whether, if he thought, then rest of it remains the same. Teacher will become would. Teacher would come this day, today will become this day, that day. So today is this day, so it will direct, it will become indirect, it will become that day. David asked his colleague. Colleague is the one who works with him, is called his colleague. David asked his colleague, where will you go this summer? So David asked his colleague, till here it remains the same. We remove comma and inverted comma, we don't put that, we have the WH word over there. Where will you go? He would go, because where we kept it. Now we change the subject's place. If we don't change the subject's place, again we will have a question at the end which we cannot do. So we will have to change it into a simple sentence, because if I put where would he go, then it would be a question. So I will say where he would go this summer will become that summer. He asked the little boy, why are you studying English? He asked the little boy, remove the comma, inverted comma, and straight away use the WH word, why. Are you studying? He was studying. Because it is you, so I am using are in the direct, but when I am reporting it, I have to use, because I am using he, singular, so I will use was. Why he was studying English. She asked me, when are we going to leave? When are we is plural, so they, when they are becomes were, because they is plural. Going to leave. Pran asked me, have you finished reading the newspaper? Pran asked me, have you? So if I had, because he is asking to me, so if I had, then rest of it remains the same. Finished reading the newspaper. Seema asked her, how long you lived here? Seema asked her, how long? Have you becomes she had lived there. Sheila asked the children, are you ready to do the work? Please pay attention. Sheila asked the children, are you, because this is a helping verb, so I have to use if. It is not a WH word, so I have to use if or whether. If are you, so if they were, if they were ready to do the work, it will be they over here, not there. If they were, are you, they were ready to do the work. So students, the end of the chapter exercise is also complete for chapter number 5. I hope you had enough time, because lots of material is available on the screen, so you must have written all the answers. With this, we stop over here for today's lecture. Thank you students, and you will be receiving the homework along with this video in the form of a PDF. Thank you again, students.